Kate's international comeback. Princess of Wales leads first overseas solo visit in 4 years.
Her first overseas work trip in 4 years. What is the mood like on the ground there? Is there a lot of excitement?
Bronte, you know me, I don't go into unnecessary hyperbole, but I genuinely think that this is the Princess of Wales' most important, most significant trip, not just since she's been Princess of Wales, but since she's been a working royal. This is her comeback. We haven't seen her for 4 years going abroad. You know, this has been telegraphed that she will actually go to Italy and it's a major project, but this is a big deal. I'm not just saying that because I'm in Italy and I'm trying to get loads of coverage. This is an absolutely huge deal. This is her comeback. I went to a briefing last night and it went on for a bit, and I've got my notes here in front of me, and the aide that was giving the note, was giving the brief, used the word global 6 times, including saying about this is her global mission. And what I took from that is this isn't just Reggio Emilia. This isn't just the Reggio Emilia approach that she's come to study. This is the beginning of almost like a global tour, if you like, for the Princess of Wales, where she will be taking this framework that she's doing here in Italy around the world, all sorts of different destinations. So you asked me about what the atmosphere is like on the ground. I think there's excitement, there's nervousness, but I think there's a genuine idea that this is the beginning of something new. It's the end of the very difficult 4 years she had. And today, when she arrives in that square, it will be the beginning of something new. And I'll tell you what else, while you've asked me about the atmosphere, 300 Italian journalists have applied for media accreditation to see the Princess of Wales in Reggio Emilia. That is unheard of. They've had to reduce it down to about 30. They've left lots of people disappointed, but that is the level of interest in the Princess of Wales being here in Italy.
Wow, 300. And there you are with a front row seat, Matt. We're very lucky to have you. I'm looking forward to hearing all the details once it gets underway. But you've just mentioned there and emphasised how significant this trip is. And it has been 4 years since she was away. We are seeing a new Catherine now. How do you think her approach to these work trips herself has changed since the last one she did back in 2022?
Yeah, I think there's going to be renewed confidence. I think that's what I'm expecting. We're told that she's infused and energetic, but I think it's just being confident. Remember, she's not here with William, and I think that's incredibly important. The fact that she is here on her own with her own cause. Sometimes when they go abroad, I think most recently they went to Boston together. They kind of shared some of the jobs, shared some of the interests. Catherine did some engagements that are related to her. William did some engagements that are related to Earthshot. But this is all about her. She doesn't have William here, carrying out any engagement. So it's 100% all about the Princess of Wales. I say energetic, infused, and this is going to be the start of something, I hope.
And look, there's a natural comparison here. I'm interested to get all of your takes. Obviously, this comes just a few weeks after Harry and Meghan were in Australia. Now, we've got Catherine is always at the top of the popularity polls when it comes to the royals, and here she is with a big sort of comeback work tour. And we've just seen Meghan, out there relaunching herself in a way in Australia. Do you think the palace pays attention to what the other royals, namely Harry and Meghan, are doing? Do you think they will have watched this tour at all and it will have any impact?
Yes.
There we go.
Yes, 100%. 100%. I mean, I think this trip was not hastily arranged, but I don't think it was something that was on the radar 6 months ago when they often plan the diary for royals. You went to Australia, Bronte. You saw what happened out there. You had a front row on everything that happened with Harry and Meghan. You were very lucky. And I remember you saying that they were kind of unapologetic in the fact that this is the way they were going to go forward. I mean, I think that Kensington Palace and Buckingham Palace, but Kensington Palace significantly, have seen Harry and Meghan almost park their tanks on their lawn, and they're firing back. I mean, we're in a cold war at the moment. It might get a hot war at some stage, but I think they have expedited this trip to Italy rather quickly because they want to roll out the big guns and they want to kind of lay down a marker and, fire back.
That's it. You are not prone to hyperbole, Matt, so they were some big phrases for you. And to Charles, what is it in this trip that you think you're looking forward to seeing the most from Catherine?
Well, just the fact that, as Matt says, that she's back on the international scene. And I agree completely with Matt that this is the start of something big for Catherine. We come to an end, if you like, of the battle that she's had for the last 4 years, and we're now moving forward. And I'm hoping we're going to see bigger and greater things from her particularly on the international stage. I mean, as Matt said, you know, it's all very well her being with William, but when she's on her own, you know, she captures the imagination and the people's hearts. It's very much like Diana. I mean, Matt talked about 300 journalists, photographers in Italy, you know, wanting accreditation. Well, this is back to the Diana days. This is what it was like in those days. Everybody clamoured. Everybody wanted to be in that square. Everybody wanted to be in that street for Diana. And it's exactly the same for Catherine. And best of luck to her. And I'm really pleased that she's back again.
And you did mention there, of course, William won't be travelling with her. This is Catherine on her own, working in an area that has been her baby for so many years. But why do you think that decision has been made specifically, Jack, for it to be just her this time?
Well, I think if the whole thing is focused on her early years project. This is actually the second time she's done this. It's her second solo visit. Her first one was Denmark back in 2022. It was a little before Boston. And then it was a similar focus. She went out, she visited a forest school. So that is one approach to preschool care, is forest school. You know, you take them on out into the woods and you show them what it's like to be in nature, and they learn in this like really great environment.
In a way, it really is the perfect relaunch back into these work trips for her, as for all the reasons you've just described. And something that's interesting with Catherine, I mentioned earlier her popularity. That hasn't always been the case, of course, but certainly in recent years, she's extremely popular. People love to see her out and about, and they're very supportive of the work she's doing. And again, to compare it to the criticisms that Meghan receives when she was out doing a similar style tour, I'm wondering, what do you think it is about Catherine that connects so well with people, that is landing so well with the public?
Personally, I just think that she's got the gift of what Diana had, and that was the affinity that she had with normal people, and going out there and being, you know, a working mum, meeting other working mums, and meeting normal members of the public and putting them at their ease. I mean, I just think that's the beauty of what she does and how she does it.
Yeah, absolutely. And she also, I mean, in terms of how she's actually approaching the tour compared with how Meghan approached her tour of Australia, Matt, what are the key differences for you?
Well, I just want to go back on that point there. You're just asking Charlie first, that, you know, why people kind of, you know, appreciate Catherine more possibly than they do to Meghan, is because she doesn't moan as much. And that's the key thing. That, you know, there are no kind of Netflix dramas. When she had everyone was bullying her online, and when she was away getting treatment for cancer, she didn't come out and complain. And I think that's what people like in Britain, and probably, you know, around the world. You know, she is very stoic. She does get on with everything, and I think people appreciate that.
How do you think her approach to the tour compares with how Meghan approaches when she's out visiting overseas countries?
Yeah, 100%. And the difference is that although Jack just pointed out earlier, because although I was talking about this as a comeback, this is, you know, her returning to work and coming up with this kind of global alliance, it is all about this one single cause, which is her golden thread throughout her work, we hear. And this is about her early years. We know it's a long path for her. It's her life's work. And I think she approaches that with, she's very well read up in the early years. It's something that she knows all about, the Reggio Emilia approach. That's why she wants to come out here. I think the difference is with Meghan, I think maybe you experienced in Australia, it's just scattergun. You don't really know which direction. She tries one thing and then jumps on to the next thing. I think with Catherine, it does feel laser focused, that the early years are her baby, so to speak. And one of the things they said in the briefing yesterday is they talk about a global alliance. And Jack was talking there about the trip to Copenhagen. And I think this is a hop from Copenhagen, the Copenhagen experience that she witnessed, and then, you know, onto other countries. So I think we sympathise more for her because, you know, she doesn't moan so much, but also we know the direction that she's going, and we can be brought along.
Ma ci saranno dopo l'altra parte sui tetti.
Princess Kate just came into the piazza. The crowd went absolutely wild. There are thousands of people who are shouting her name. You can see her, she's right there in that sort of blue teal suit, waving to people. She just met with this group of school children here. The whole reason why she's here is to meet with school children and institutions.
Welcome back everyone to the channel. It's good to have you here again, and today we're diving into one of the most talked about royal narratives making waves across media and social platforms right now. It's the kind of story that doesn't just stay in the headlines, it evolves, multiplies, and turns into a broader cultural conversation about image, perception, and storytelling in modern royalty. So if you're here for analysis, commentary, and a closer look at how public narratives are shaped, you're in the right place. Let's begin with the Princess of Wales's recent trip to Italy, which has sparked a surprising amount of discussion depending on how different outlets choose to frame it. Some publications have leaned heavily into calling it an eat, pray, love style experience, a phrase that immediately shifts the tone of the entire visit, instead of being seen strictly as an official royal engagement centered on policy and outreach. That framing introduces a lifestyle narrative, one that feels personal, cinematic and emotionally driven, and that alone has fueled a wide range of interpretations. Officially, the focus of the visit has been consistent with the Princess of Wales' established areas of work: early years development, education initiatives, community support, and highlighting the importance of childhood well-being. These are structured themes grounded in long-term advocacy. On paper, the visit is straightforward, purposeful, and aligned with her ongoing public role. But in today's media environment, what is planned and what is perceived are often two very different things, because what audiences actually saw coming out of Italy were visually rich, carefully composed moments that felt almost editorial in nature. Scenic countryside backdrops, warm natural lighting, soft candid interactions, and a sense of curated storytelling that extends beyond policy messaging. These images don't just document a visit, they tell a story, and that story, intentionally or not, reads differently to different audiences. One of the most widely discussed moments was the pasta-making activity. On the surface, it's a simple cultural engagement, participating in local traditions, connecting with communities through food, and embracing the setting of the host country. But visually, it becomes something more layered when placed into the context of royal media storytelling. A senior royal figure engaging in hands-on cooking in a picturesque Italian environment creates an immediate lifestyle association. It is warm, relatable, and highly photogenic, which is precisely why it resonates so strongly online. Alongside that, there were outdoor scenes featuring children and informal interactions set against idyllic landscapes. Again, these are standard components of modern royal engagements, designed to highlight accessibility and human connection. But the final imagery, polished and serene, contributes to a narrative that many viewers interpret as more lifestyle-oriented than strictly institutional. That is where the eat, pray, love comparison gained traction, not as a literal claim, but as a cultural shorthand for a curated personal journey aesthetic. As expected, not everyone agrees with that framing. Supporters argue that royal visits have always relied on strong visual storytelling. They point out that engagement, warmth, and relatability are essential components of public-facing royal work. Without them, the institution risks feeling distant and inaccessible. From this perspective, nothing about the Italy visit is unusual. It is simply modern royal communication at work. However, critics online have taken a different approach. Instead of viewing the visit in isolation, they connect it to a broader timeline of appearances, stylistic choices, and recurring visual themes across different royal engagements over the years. And once that pattern-based lens is applied, every detail becomes part of a larger narrative thread. Fashion quickly became a major part of the conversation. The Princess of Wales Day 2 outfit drew attention, with reports identifying a Blaze Milano blazer paired with a skirt and top from Jenny Kane, a California-based designer. That detail immediately sparked discussion because Jenny Kane has become widely associated in public perception with a relaxed, modern aesthetic often linked to Meghan Markle's wardrobe choices over the years. Meghan has worn Jenny Kane pieces in multiple public and media-facing contexts, contributing to the brand's association with minimalist California styling. So when Kate appeared in similar designs, fashion watchers naturally began discussing whether this represented coincidence, shared taste, or something more reflective of broader style convergence within celebrity and royal fashion ecosystems. Then came the footwear discussion. Kate's two-tone flats became another focal point of online commentary. Meghan has long been associated with similar footwear styles, particularly classic two-tone designs that reflect understated elegance. Kate's shoes during the Italy visit were identified as Camilla Elphick, yet visual similarities were enough to spark renewed comparisons online. In the world of royal fashion commentary, small details carry disproportionate weight. Shoes, handbags, jewelry, and even subtle styling choices become part of a continuous public archive that is constantly reinterpreted through new appearances. And then there is jewelry, the ever-present ring stack discussion. Observers noted layered ring styling during the visit, which led to renewed conversation about modern accessorizing trends among public figures. Some argue that stacked rings and layered jewelry gained wider visibility in mainstream fashion, partly due to Meghan's influence on contemporary royal and celebrity styling norms. Others view it simply as a natural evolution of fashion trends that are widely adopted across industries at the same time. As these fashion discussions unfolded, comparisons extended beyond clothing and accessories into the activities themselves. Some online commentators revisited past international tours, including the Australia visit involving Meghan and Harry, drawing parallels between community engagement moments such as food preparation, informal interactions, and hands-on creative activities. In both cases, the Italy visit and earlier tours, there are shared structural elements typical of royal engagements, connecting with communities, participating in cultural traditions, and engaging in activities that create visual storytelling opportunities. Cooking, crafting, and interacting with local groups are long-standing tools of royal diplomacy and public engagement. But what differs is interpretation. To some audiences, these are simply standard elements of modern royal tours, repeated across different contexts because they are effective, relatable, and visually engaging. To others, the repetition of similar themes across years and across different royal figures creates a sense of pattern recognition that invites comparison. And this is where the conversation becomes less about isolated events and more about perception itself. Because in the current media landscape, nothing exists in isolation anymore. Every image is instantly shared, analyzed, and compared. Every outfit is cross-referenced. Every public engagement becomes part of a larger digital archive that audiences continuously revisit. And within that system, meaning is not fixed. It is constantly reconstructed by viewers. So, when people describe the Italy trip as eat, pray, love, they are not necessarily making a literal claim about intent. They are applying a cultural label to a set of visuals that evoke a certain mood. When others point out fashion similarities or activity overlaps, they are engaging in the same interpretive process, reading meaning into patterns based on prior knowledge and perception, and that is what makes this entire discussion so persistent. It is not just about one trip, one outfit, or one moment. It is about how modern royal storytelling is received, interpreted, and debated in real time by global audiences. Because whether intentional or coincidental, curated or organic, official or aesthetic-driven, every public appearance now exists in a space where meaning is fluid and interpretation is immediate. And that brings us to the bigger question underlying all of this. In an era where every detail is documented and compared, is it still possible for any public moment to be seen on its own terms? That is where the conversation ultimately lands. And with that, we wrap up today's episode. As always, thank you for spending your time here and joining the discussion. These conversations are never just about headlines. They're about how narratives are built, how perceptions form, and how public storytelling evolves in a digital world where nothing goes unnoticed. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this one. Do you think these comparisons are just the natural result of modern royal engagements being highly visual and widely shared? Or do you think there's a deeper pattern that keeps resurfacing across different appearances and timelines? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's keep the conversation going. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next deep dive into royal news, media narratives, and cultural commentary. Until next time, stay informed, stay curious, and we'll see you in the next episode.